22 years. That's what's left when you're 43. Not the 40 years on the slide they showed at work this morning. The one with the smiling 25-year-old who turns pocket change into a fortune while you sat in the back doing quieter math. 22 years until 65. You ran it in the parking lot afterward, engine off, keys still in your hand, because that was easier than walking back in and pretending the number hadn't found you. Here's where this ends. On your current income, starting today, you can walk into retirement with close to $1 million from a standing start. At 43, I'll prove it in 60 seconds, but first, you have to see why you almost didn't. The spreadsheet has been on your laptop for 2 years. You built it in a panic one weekend and closed it because the truth in it was too heavy to hold. Next year, you said, so many times that next year became a place you were never actually going to arrive. That's the real reason people start late, not money, avoidance. So let's kill the lie first. The lie says the window closed a decade ago, that compounding left without you, that wealth belongs to whoever started at 22. Here's the math the lie prays you never run. Invest $1,000 a month at an average 8% a year, and 8% is deliberately below the S&P 500's long-run average. And in 22 years, you crossed $716,000. Not from luck, from one automated transfer that leaves before you can spend it. And that's before the thing that unlocks at 50, which pushes you past $850,000. Hold that thought. We'll get to the unlock, because here's what nobody tells you about the 25-year-old on that slide. Statistically, when he switches jobs, he cashes out his 401k and eats the penalty. He panic sells the first crash he ever sees. His head start is real on paper and fragile in real life. You are not going to do those things because you're 43 and you finally know what money does. A late start you don't blow beats an early start you waste. That's not a consolation prize. That's the entire game. So at 44, you do the boring work nobody films. You automate the money out on the first before your brain invents a reason to keep it. You build the emergency fund that survives a water heater and a dental bill in the same week. It's tight. The vacation becomes a long weekend, and the word late still whispers at you. You don't argue with it. You just keep transferring anyway. Motivation is a liar. The automation isn't. At 46, your friend Curtis refinances his house, pulls 40 grand of equity out for a pool and a truck he doesn't need, grinning like it's good news. You know what he earns. Those two numbers don't belong in the same sentence. And standing in his backyard, the water blue and still, you feel the pull. You've been so careful. Don't you deserve this too? You notice the voice. You don't fight it and you don't obey it. You just ask the only question that counts. Not do I want this, but how many years does this cost me? Curtis pulled a decade out of his future to feel good for one summer. You drive home in your paid-off car, feeling something better than envy, clarity. At 48, your kid gets into a good school, and after aid, there's a gap, the kind that makes families sign loans at rates they never read. You run it at the table, and you can help. Not all of it, but enough to keep your kid off a predatory loan without touching your retirement, without co-signing your future away. You write the number. You say yes. 5 years ago, that yes meant debt and a shame spiral. Now it's just a transfer and a good night's sleep. That's what this was quietly for the whole time. Not a balance. Capacity. And at 54, that capacity turns into something you don't see coming. Remember that. At 50, the story flips. Everything before this, being late, was a wound. Starting now, it becomes a weapon. The IRS calls it the catch-up contribution, and it exists for exactly one kind of person, you. The year you turn 50, you can drop an extra $8,000 into your 401k on top of the standard $24,500, plus another $1,100 into your IRA, over $9,000 a year a 25-year-old is legally locked out of. Between 60 and 63, it climbs to $11,250 in catch-up alone. You open the payroll portal on a Tuesday and bump the number up, and it doesn't feel like catching up anymore. It feels like flooring it. The system was built assuming that at 50, you'd finally have the income and the seriousness to slam the accelerator. For the first time in your life, you do. Late didn't cost you the race. Late handed you a bigger engine for the last lap. At 52, the market drops. Not a dip, months of red. and it lands differently now because you can see the shore. The fear has a name. What if it doesn't come back before I need it? You check the account too often for 2 weeks. Then you stop. You keep buying at prices you'll thank yourself for later. Without fully believing you should, you do not sell. And you learn the thing the 25-year-olds don't learn until it's their turn. Near the end, the game isn't picking the right fund. It's not flinching. By spring, you're whole again, and then some. At 54, the thing I told you to remember arrives, and it has nothing to do with your balance. You're deciding whether to replace a dying furnace or nurse it one more winter. 5 years ago, you'd grab the cheap patch. Instead, you run cost per year over the 15 years you'll own the house, and you buy the better one without a knot in your stomach. In the driveway, you realize the wiring in your head has changed. You stop deciding in 30-day windows. You think in years now, and it grew in without you noticing. Nobody posts that shift. It's worth more than every tactic in every finance book because it's the thing that keeps every other decision honest. You wake up on your 55th birthday, and before the phone, before coffee, you lie there and think about that parking lot 12 years ago. Engine off, keys in your hand, the word late, then you check the number, just over $275,000. Not a millionaire, not financially free the way the internet sells it. But here's the context nobody gives you. Fidelity puts the average American 401k balance across every age at about $144,000. You're sitting at nearly double that, 12 years after starting from zero, convinced you'd missed it. The Federal Reserve says the median household your age holds around $364,000 in net worth, most of it trapped in home equity they can't spend. Yours is liquid, working, compounding. And on this path, with the catch-up years doing their work, you cross $850,000 by 65, closing on $1 million from the standing start you almost never took, because you finally learned the lesson that took the whole decade. At 43, you thought wealth would feel like a number. It didn't. It felt like saying yes to your kid without signing away your future. It felt like watching Curtis refinance his life away and feeling nothing but clear. It felt like a crash at 52 that couldn't move you. Most of all, it felt like waking up one morning and realizing the future stopped being something happening to you and became something you'd built. 22 years late, right on time. If this reached something real in you, do one thing for the next person sitting in a parking lot doing the math. Sure, they've missed it. Like this video and subscribe so it finds them, because they haven't missed it, and neither have you.